Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the basics of an ad hoc cycle count. So we're going to create a new count. Throw in our username. And rather than choosing a department or an item type, we're going to click ad hoc count. And then we're going to start the count. The concept of the ad hoc count is we can go around the store, we can scan any item that we want to include in the count. The count is not bound by department or subdepartment, rather by what we scan and add into the count. So I'm going to click the count ID to start the count, throw in my username and password. So I'll show you as an example. If I scan an EXL 145 string, you're going to see that the item was added to the count selection. When that pops up there, that's telling you that EXL 145 is now part of the count. So if we look here, there's no items included on this count down here. Now if I hit refresh, now the only item that's included on the count is EXL 145. If I click View Variants, it's going to say that the system says we have 12 in stock and I've counted 1. So for instance here, if there was in fact only 10 EXL 145s on the floor. So essentially what happened is as soon as I scanned the EXL 145, it added the item to the count, and I'm just counting as per normal. The difference is there's no limitations on what I can and cannot scan. So I can go from EXL 145 strings all the way to capos. And I'll count CPO5s, and then I will now count EJ16 strings. We're going to say that there's 5 packs of those in stock. And then I'm going to count EXL 120s. Oops. Or I guess we'll count EXL 230 base strings. And then we'll count EXL 120s. We'll count the 10 pack, etc., etc. So you can just walk through the store and scan as many items as you want. So this is quite useful if you have a wall of product and you want to count a physical area where guitar strings are typically going to be held in the same physical area. What happens at our store is we have certain accessory categories they have several locations in the store. So there could be one wall plus another wall that has a few other accessories that are part of that group. So what we're able to do is just go scan through and count one particular physical section of the store rather than being bound by departments and subdepartments. So I'm going to click back on Cycle Count Management and refresh. So you're also going to notice that we have several different types. We have capos, acoustic strings, bass strings, and electric strings included in this count. Now not the entire subdepartment is not included in the count, rather only specific items out of each subdepartment. For instance, for capos, we have this capo is the only one that's included in the count. For electric strings, we have EXL 145s and also the EXL 120 10 packs. For bass strings, we have the EXL 230s and the EJ16s for acoustics. So you're going to notice here that the selection quantity was 12. So what you're going to have noticed is the count down here wasn't showing the quantity that was counted. And in order to refresh that, we have to uncheck the view variance and check it back. And then that will update your count. So what you're going to see in this column here is how many we've counted. And the selection quantity is, once again, how many the system says we have in stock. So the system's saying we have 12, but I only actually counted 10. So we have a variance of -2 at a total cost of $20, because they're $10.26 a pack. The system says we have 0 packs of EJ16s, but we actually have 5 on the floor. 0, 1, 0, 1. So we're adjusting the inventory positively in these situations for $40, $25, and $18. And the capos, the system said we had 2, but I actually only counted 1. Now these variances are going to trigger a deeper review. For instance, if we just received the 2 Planet Wave capos, we might want to look a little harder. Maybe one's set in a back room somewhere. Now what we're going to see up here is the total selection quantity was $152. We counted $200, so there's actually a $49 variance, which is positive. Typically you should be seeing negative variances here for shrinkage and etc. You're also going to see the percentage of your inventory that's being adjusted. And once again, normally this is going to be 2, 3, 4%, depending on how frequent you do your inventory counts, and also depending on your shrinkage rates. So I can come back to the cycle count, and I can scan as many items as I want to. At this point in time, I think I've shown the concept, but you can essentially walk through the store and add as many items as you want. It is important to note that once you scan an item, it's included in the count. So if I scan EXL 115s, for instance, they're part of the count and I need to finish counting them. So if I have 5 packs on the floor but 20 packs in a back room, I need to count the packs on the floor and also the back room in order to have an accurate count. Otherwise, the system is going to automatically adjust out your inventory. So I'm going to hit update count and we should be good to go. Remember, we're going to back up our database. Successful. And we want to make sure that we are certain that we want to update this count. These are the adjustments that are going to happen. EXL 145s are going to be reduced by 2, EJ16s increased by 5. The 10 pack and the base strings both increased by 1, and the Planet Wave capo is going to be reduced by 1. So we've reviewed it, we're good with it, we can hit OK. The update happened. If we go queries, inventory movements, or once again, reporting, inventory movements, we're going to see the earlier count we did today and also inventory count number 2. Now, since it was an ad hoc count, it does have the note that it was ad hoc. And you'll see that we reduced the earlier count today. We counted 12 packs. The new count, we actually only counted 10, so the inventory is reduced down to 10 units. Now, if I was to look up EXL 145, we're going to see that we're down to 10 units in stock. Right click, see the movement. For this particular item, we had 2 inventory counts are the only things. We have no sales, no receipts, etc. We just have inventory counts. The first inventory count added 12 units, and the second one reduced it by 2. Typically, you're going to have receipts and sales in between, but for illustrative purposes, you'll see it like that. So that shows you the basics of an ad hoc inventory count.